Keys to life, you say what? When I say keys to life, you say what? All right, all right. Today is the 30th of July. Number one, I'd rather have a plan and rework it than not have a plan at all. I'd rather have a plan and rework it than not have a plan at all. You randomly work, if you randomly work at things, you will waste your time and you will waste your money. Because no one can count on what you do randomly, except for the fact that you are random. So, a lot of times, the only thing people say I do randomly is ask questions. I'll ask a random question. But for the most part, what I have to do, what I've learned to do, what I've grown accustomed to do is to plan and work the plan. Work the plan, and when the plan needs tweaking, tweak it. If the plan needs a turn to the right, then a turn to the right. If I have to change some things, then we have to change a few things. But I always have a what? Plan. It does not afford me anything. It's not beneficial to me at all to not have a plan for my children, not have a plan for my life, not have a plan for the church. Even so, the Bible says if you commit your what? Plan to the Lord, then it will succeed. But if you don't have a plan to commit, what are you committing? Just your service. And so here is the key, and here is the point within the Bible. If you're only committing your service, how can you get mad at God for the plan that was not given? He can use you, yes. He can work you, yes. He can lift you, yes. But what you thought of, what you desired, what you planned doesn't get done because you never had one. You never had one. You have desires. And here's the key: desires, wishes, they aren't not plans. Goals aren't plans. Goals are what you want. The plan is what takes you to get to the goal, to achieve the goal. And so, therefore, if you write down your desires, your goals, and all the things that you want, and you leave them there, 2 years from now, you will have the same desires, the same goals, but you will not have achieved them. I've been working goals for over 8 years. And when I look at my life and I look at the things that I wrote down, the things that I wanted in 2017, I checked that. God, you've been good. Thank you. And when I don't check it and I say I didn't do it, I don't say, God, you haven't been good. I say, what was I not doing? See, here's the key. Not that God wasn't good, but what did I not get done? What work didn't I do to get to where I want to go? What did I not put in? Because normally, if you have a plan and you want it to achieve to a certain level, to a certain place, you have to remember that there's going to be time and there's going to be work. And if there is no time and there is no work, it will be where you left it. Or it'll be further behind. Because some things move on your strength, and if they don't operate in your strength, or if you don't consistently produce anything, they lower. Some things will stay the same. If you write a book and you stop writing a book, it stays where it's at. If you are working and you are training up a child, if you're not working the child, who do you think the child is breathing on its own? And so therefore it's still moving. It's still having experiences. They're still doing things. And it just has nothing to do with who? You. So you have to work it all to achieve it all. You have to understand, and I'm going to say this at the end of every key to life that I say today: time makes a difference. Time makes a difference. So if you have a goal and you have a specific what time you want to achieve that goal, then you need to know that you need to work what? Harder to get to that goal. You need to put in more what? Time. It's more time over the amount of discipline and the amount of action and the amount of words to achieve the goal. It is not something that you can't do. It's something you have to make a choice to do every day. Number two, money is all around you. You just have to figure out how to make it work for you. I know that was long. Money is all around you. You just have to figure out how to make it work for you. It took me a very long time to figure out how to make it work for me. Then when I figured out how to make it work for me, I needed some. I needed some to start with. So there is a change, and there's levels to this thing. One of the things that I remember very much, my tax person, he said, is you need to make more of it. Don't worry about the taxes. He said, tax is going to be there forever, but you need to make more of it. What I want you to do is to ask yourself, what do I do? What do I do well? The Bible always records when there comes an issue and they reach the man of God and it's financial, he asks, what do you have? We say, we have oil. All right. You're going to continue to pour oil. You're going to borrow oil. What do you have? We only have a little bit cake, and me and my son going to eat this, and we're going to die. He said, you make that. And then all of a sudden, there's more. What I'm trying to get you to understand, what I'm trying to get you to establish in life is that you may not want to do this for all your life, but sometimes to get out of the ditch that you're in, you have to work the things that you have to get to where you're going. And those things aren't bad. Those things are good because he gave you a gift. And if you use the training, you use the gift, you use the talent, you can put yourself in a place where then you can then build on something else and learn how to do something else and learn how to invest your money and put your money. And everything is predicated on the time you choose to work it and the time you choose to put in and the time in which you start versus the time which you plan to end. Because if you have a time frame, you've got to work the what? Time. Everybody has it. It's just what you plan on doing what? With it. God is the only one that lives outside of what? Time. He gave you time so you could work the time. And as long as you work the time, you won't be a slave to time. But if you don't work time, you are a slave to time and you only get paid when you work. Work it all. Understand it all. Figure out how, because there's always going to be a way how. Don't try to say, oh, I don't know, I don't have it, I can't do it. I can't doesn't really work in God because he said all things are possible. So you just have to believe it. But if you believe it, if you have faith, faith without is, so therefore you can't have real faith. And here's the key, and this is something that I want you to hear me. You can't have real faith in God and say, God, I believe you, and not prove it. Everybody got the word. You have the words. You knew the words growing up. You was in church all the time. Oh, I believe God. God said it. I believe it, and that settles it. Let me explain something to you. that settles it. It only settles it if you're working according to what you say you believe. If you don't work what you say you believe, it did not settle it. You just said it. Settling it means that I'm about to go and do it. Not settling it says, I believe you, but I ain't fitting to do anything about it. So for everyone that thinks that their words mean something, without actions, it does not equal faith. The equation does not work. It is 1 + 1 = 2. So we got what we believe, and the action. That equals faith. But if you don't say, I believe it, truly believe it, and then go do it, it does not prove, it does not equal, it cannot come up to what? Faith. All right, third thing. Do the math. Do the math. Do the math. You are willing, let me say it this way. You are where you are because of a few things. One of those things is God. The other thing, or the other things, are what you have done up till now. So, if we do the math, God is in us, He works in us, He works for us, He pushes us, He increases us, He strengthens us. But to strengthen us to amount to something, we've got to do something. To aid us financially, we have to abide by the word of God, to know that He gives us the power to get well, and that if we count the cost, then we can build, and then what? Know that we'll have a firm foundation because we had enough to build, because we already counted the. See, God gives you the math, He gives you the equation, He gives you the how, He gives you the where, He gives you all those things. He just doesn't give you the why most times. And so what I need you to understand about the math is that you have to do some calculations. And nobody wants to do the calculations. We just want it to randomly happen. And nothing happens randomly. It's like this. Money has no predetermined place to go. But if you determine that when I get paid, I'm going to put 5% here, 10% here, 12% here, 20% here, 40% here, and I'm not going to touch it, but I'm going to invest it into those different places, then the action of it will prove that you are correct. But if there is no action of it and you say, whoa, I got to take care of this, and whoa, I got to take care of that, whoa, now it's all here, there, and what? Everywhere. The math did not math. And if the math don't math, you don't get what you want. You have to actually do the math. And so you are where you are because of the evidence of the lessons learned or not learned. Write that down. You are where you are in this present moment because of the lessons, the evidence, evidence. You know what evidence is? Of what you learned or did not learn. So therefore, what I see in front of me, what I have, what I possess, what I control, what God has given me, the relationship that I have, the finances that I have, the things that I have. If it's about to break, it's because you didn't manage it well. But you still have it for the time frame that you have it. So what you do with it is up to you, whether you fix it or you don't fix it, whether you keep it or you don't keep it. What you accomplish is up to you. Doing the math says I need to put more time in over more amount of hours and more discipline every day to achieve a certain goal. And here's the key that you must understand about this is you can't try to fix something in 1 week that you broke for 6 months. You keep shattering it and shattering it and shattering it, and then you want to glaze it and then say it's going to be all right. That glue does not work. The glue does not work. Some of the stuff you got to sew, some of the stuff you got to fix, some stuff you got to start all over. You have to start to actually look at what it is. And when you have to fix something that's broken, you have to ask yourself, what kind of glue fits that thing? What works with that? Because if you get wood glue for metal, what's going to happen? Nothing. Nothing. You go ahead and decide you're going to get something that has to be in the rain and in the water, and you don't read the instructions on the thing that you bought, and all of a sudden it says dissolves in water. Now you got a problem. We don't read the instructions. The Bible gives you the instructions, and the fact of the matter is if you do the math, you read the information, you apply the information, and you get the result. But if you do not read the information and apply the information, you get nothing. And for the amount of time that you worked, which usually isn't a lot of time, it's just that you've been in it a long time. And being in something a long time and working something a long time is two different things. You can be in a marriage for a long time and not have worked it to the glory of God. You can be at a job for a long time and not have worked it to the glory of God. And you got no bonuses, you got no increase. You in this body for a long time and not have worked it for a long time. You feed it whatever you want to feed it with, you give it whatever you want to give it, you are lazy with it, and now you're trying to figure out why your bones are acting this way, why your muscles don't show up when you want them to show up, because they were never managed. Why your lungs don't work? Because you've been polluting them. Don't ask God. He said to you to manage well. Do the math. And if you decide today to fix the problem, don't expect it to be fixed next Sunday. Because 7 days don't fix it. Write it down. 7 days won't fix it. Put in the time, put in the energy, put in the effort, and work it and work it and work it until your practice becomes normal. And when your practice becomes normal, it will work itself out. And those are the keys to life.